sleep, Papa go let it get done. The children they wanna get food to eat, Papa go let it pass. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Tonight, our guest is Mr. Y. Michael Gilman. He's the host of Jihad Talk, and we're going to be joining him shortly. Our topic tonight is we're going to be discussing and analyzing some of the hot-button issues currently going on in our country, Liberia. Mr. Gilman, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Good evening, Mr. Jihad, Dennis Jihad, and the team there at Focus on Liberia. I'd like to also say good evening to all your listeners and those that have come from all walks of life, including our fans, followers, and our contributors from Jihad Talk that have come to listen to us here tonight. I say good evening to all of you. And of course, we are here to discuss issues relative to our country, Liberia. And I'm looking forward to a very fruitful, informative, and rewarding conversation. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Gilman, we want to appreciate your time joining us to discuss issues affecting our common country, which is Liberia. I follow your show sometime, and you discuss most of these issues. So we at Focus on Liberia thought it wise to invite you so that you can share some of your knowledge. You have interviewed some people, you have talked to, and you are, we feel that you are in tune with happenings back home. So we want you to share your perspectives on what is obtaining in our country. We want to say welcome to all our viewers across the globe. We'll be discussing current issues in Liberia, relating issues such as the elections, and sometimes we have election violence. Mr. Gilman will be covering all of that. So we want to welcome you. And Mr. Gilman is from another online station, which is Jihad Talk. Let's start with just saying something about yourself and also about Jihad Talk, Mr. Gilman.
Well, again, thanks, Mr. Jihad. I need no introduction. I am an accountant, a business administrator, and of course, a community organizer, and currently a talk show host, and investigative talk show host for Jihad Talk, an online radio and TV network based out of Detroit, Michigan. And I'd like to state for the records, I have not come to Focus on Liberia to speak on behalf of the government of Liberia, neither am I authorized to speak for and on behalf of the governor of Liberia. We've interviewed a cross-section of government officials, including senators, representatives, ministers, directors, as well as ordinary people, ordinary Liberians. And our stance does not in any way come as government's position or government information arm. And so we like to state that for the record. We are an independent online radio and TV, and our work is absolutely and strictly independent of the government or anybody within government. And so we'd like to state that for the record. Thank you. Mr. Jihad, are you there?
Mr. Gilman, briefly tell us about Jihad Talk. You know, what is it all about, and what you hope to achieve by running this online radio and TV platform?
Jihad Talk was established about 5 years ago. It was 3 gentlemen within the Jihad diaspora community that came together, that put Jihad Talk together. Kwame Weeks, currently in Liberia. Also, Mr. Yonle, Isaac Boo Yonle of Florida, was a founding member also, plus myself, Michael Gilman, Michael Gilman. We came together to put this online radio together. At the time, we were only using what we have now as our background number, teleconference numbers. We did not have an online radio. We were not on Facebook. We didn't have a Facebook preference, like broadcasting on Facebook and all of that. Kwame will, before Kwame even left to go to Liberia, Uyonle withdrew his membership, his support and whatsoever to GHT, and then Kwame had to go to Liberia. We started off only discussing Grand Jihad diaspora politics, and just before the elections, the 2017 elections, we decided to go national on the Liberia body politic, which we did, and as time went by, we began to limit our own involvement or broadcast on the Jihad diaspora politics. We do have a segment that comes on every now and then called All Things Grand Jihad, and we bring it up every now and then on our platform to discuss Grand Jihad diaspora body politics as well as the county. And Jihad Talk is not owned by Grand Jihad County, by nobody within the Grand Jihad Association or even the organization Grand Jihad Association in Americas or Grand Jihad Association in the diaspora. We are not owned by anybody. It's an organization just like you would name a football team after a city, like Detroit Lions, Pittsburgh Steelers, Arizona Cardinals. We are not owned by anybody. We are strictly independent of the county, the executives of the county, the officials, organizations here, name or from Grand Jihad County in the diaspora. None of them control us. We don't control them. We are independent. Our services are most often free of charge. We don't charge people for even bringing them on. Government officials, ordinary people, we don't charge them to bring them on our platform because we see our work, our service as a community-based one. In order to lift the community, somebody have got to do the heavy lifting. And don't get me wrong. We've had people who've been so generous to GHT that have contributed after we hosted them. I can count less than 2 persons, not more than 2 persons did that in all of our 5 years existence.
Wow.
In our 5 years existence, we've had one major fundraiser when we had a major breakdown in our studio about several months ago, and we were compelled because our fans, our followers insisted that we establish a GoFundMe to help us get back on air, and ever since then we've been so happy about it, and we are up and running.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I advertised the show, that when we advertised that you were coming on, a lot of people describe you as a pro-government or media station. That you are pro-government. Can you speak to that?
And that's why I said from the get-go that we are not pro-government. We may be sympathetic to the government of the day. That does not negate the fact that we ask the tough questions to government officials that come on our platform. Again, we are not funded by government. Folks have always said it, that we are pay agents. They describe us in all of the negativities, in all of the adjectives that are there on the books, that we are. And we are not. We continue to tell people we are not government pay agents. We are not funded by government. Our thing here is our philosophy. Our cardinal issue here is speaking truth.
Right.
Because we see a lot of folks in the advocacy business who are not honest. They don't speak the truth. So somebody have got to be there. It's like somebody said, government signed a contract with a company, and the paper they were reading from is an article of incorporation. An article of incorporation is not a contract. Perhaps that company would have signed a contract with government, but that has not happened. So when we get hold of that copy, from you that said it was a contract, and we see the contradiction, and we ask you, you know, these are the things that we're talking about. People are not honest in their advocacy.
So Mr. Gilman, for example, in that case, do you get anyone in government who will supply you the facts or the documentation so that you use that to counter whatever you describe as falsehood out there?
What we do, we don't have anybody in government to send us document. We have never published any document that was sent to us by government. Information we publish are information we gather. Like today, Ministry of Finance put up a press release. The UN embassies put up a press statement calling on Liberians to tone down the rhetoric and all of that. Those are the papers we publish. We have never published any documents sent to us clandestinely by government. What we do research. We go beyond the information that is provided out there. Then, coupled with that, we bring government officials on our platform to ask them, bring them closer to diaspora Liberians. So folks see that as being pro-government. But if you are accusing someone of something and you don't have the facts, you don't have the information, and you're only hearing from one person, what do we say? There are two sides to the story, to every story. So folks have got to get adjusted to listening to both sides of the story. So we bring government officials in and ask them, as well as we call on the opposition. And sometimes some of them come, some of them will never come. They said they will never come because we are pro-government. They know which network to go on. You know, that's the problem. That's the problem we have.
And you mentioned something which I myself am a witness of, the kind of toxic environment. I one time described that as political cultism. It looked like we have cults now because the sides are very far apart, so that when you go on one network, the news there is so different. When you go on the other side, it's like they are talking about two different countries. What is your view on this big divide when it comes to the Liberian political system, especially the online media? People are reporting things that are so different, so far apart.
And that's the difference we bring to the discourse. Everybody may have the same topic or the same stories, but if you listen to one person talking about it, they are saying something different. You come to Jihad Talk, we are in-depth, analytical, objective, and factual. You know, it's like let's look at Logan Town as an example. The recent violence in Logan Town, all right, as an example. Yeah. Several videos came out of there. Several. Depending on where you are with the divide, out of government, opposition, independent, you will have a different outlook of the events that unfolded in Logan Town, in District 15. So what is the yardstick? What do you do to adduce the evidence, the facts surrounding the entire thing? Because, mind you, somebody have got or would have started the violence. Yeah. Be it CDC or seditions or the opposition candidate in District 15, Tila Ure Group. Right. Somebody would have started it. So how do we arrive at a logical conclusion to squarely say, hey, Jah, you and your team started the violence, or Gilman, you and Jihad Talk started the violence in District 15. How do we arrive at it? Through a thorough investigation. Right, and it's important you mentioned that, because that's one of the issues that that came up, and on your show, you kind of cast doubts on the story or the what was reported by Ms. Telia Ure. So let's begin with that as to how you got all your evidence and what do you know has the true story that occurred. Good. I did not cast doubt on Tila Ure. first and foremost, we posted our condemnation of violence within Liberia, regardless whether it was District 15, 13, 10, anywhere in Liberia, we detest violence. Now, let me state this for the record. First and foremost, we condemn violence, every form of it. We did not say to Liberians, our followers, that Tilia Ure was never attacked, or that she did not suffer any losses in District 15. The toughest question here for all of us to do is to find out whether Tilia Ure, her account of the events are truthful, whether she gave an honest account. Because if you look at the timeline of the events in District 15, on that day, when she went to the party headquarters where the news conference was held, if you look at the timeline, if you listen to her at the headquarters and come back to look at the timeline of events, she placed a call to Henry Costa. When did she place the call? We don't know. But we saw Henry Costa come on live video at 2:22 p.m. 2:22 p.m. Henry Costa is on a live video. At 2:26 p.m., Tilia Ure is on a live video in a house where she allegedly was held captive or hostage, and they are pouring gasoline around the house. 4 minutes difference. 4 minutes. She's in a house. Costa is on the newscast on his show. 2:22, 2:26. Tilia Ure is on a live feed. We seen the video with the car going back and forth, and that's the question we ask: is this car Tilia Ure's bulletproof car, going back and forth, providing coverage? All right, we got to ask that question. That question has not been answered, because between that time that the car is going back and forth, and then there's another video where the guy is recording the video from behind the screen. All right. To the time the car went and fell in that ditch and hit a wall, that was like 2:52. Henry Costa posted that car falling down, 2:52 p.m. So between 2:52 p.m., between 2:22 to 2:52, what was happening between there? Henry Costa have told us at 2:22 that the car was completely destroyed. Completely destroyed at 2:22. 2:26, Tilia Ure is in a house broadcasting. By 3:01, there's another gentleman that posted the car, Ambassador Ara Van Ross. 3:01, he posted a video, the car driving, going to fall down in the ditch. At 3:01, the car is in the ditch. All right.
So what is your conclusion based on the timelines you are gathering?
Based on this, let's ask ourselves. Tilia Ure the next day said the car, after they burnt my car, did the car burn? Have we got a burnt car photo? No, we don't have one.
Okay.
The car, Henry Costa said the car is completely destroyed and parked at the office of the late Ada Lawrence office. If you go inside the Costa August 17, 2:22 video, if you listen to the entire, I think it's less time, in our whole length, in our whole lot of time. If you listen to the entire thing, he said the car is burned, is completely destroyed, and is parked.
So there was some exaggerations or overstatements. What does that tell us?
That was, before all of this happened, we got a press conference that said the opposition was going to apply radical approach.
Okay.
If Tila is not declared winner, they will apply radical approach. Now, what are these radical approaches that they will apply or they were going to apply? Is it to orchestrate what happened in District 15? Is that one of the radical approaches? Is it to begin stone throwing? We don't know who began the stone throwing, but we saw a car providing cover and shelter for people to throw stones. To the timeline, look, in any investigation, Mr. Ja, the timeline of events is the major issue that is considered. All right?
Right. So this brings me to a broader question about violence,
right,
which we see that is becoming a pattern. So in your investigation, what you see is you're not sure who started this and what really occurred because there was a statement made prior to this, but that's not the only violence that we saw. What does that say about where we are now when it comes to violence in Liberia? What is causing it and what can be done to quell that?
You know, that's a beautiful question. What is causing it and what can be done to curtail the violence? Again, we detest violence. We condemn it in whatever shape form. We condemn it. If you go back to February of this year, the international partner led by the United Nations, the EU, American Embassy, issued a statement calling on Liberians, especially those in the media, the opposition, and those, especially in the media, to tone down the rhetorics, to stop the insightful speeches or statements. Where are those insightful speeches and statements come from the most? And I'm saying the most to tell you that folks in the government have had their fair share of that too, but the most come from our opposition and our advocates who put these things out there that this group, is either they versus us, we versus them. All right? If you had a political leader tell you we got to take back our country because the leaders we have, they are thieves, they are rogues, they are petty criminals. Let's take back our country. Let's demand of them. You got a political leader tell you that. And then he's spending money on top of that. And folks are implementing, they are executing. And you have a lawmaker that goes on a rampage before a crowd with opposition leaders, former vice president, and he's there and saying, look, this president is just a squatter. In 3 months, he will be gone. We need orders. And he's gonna be gone, he's just a squatter. And you have folks go on the radio and orchestrate lies like the Roots FM burglary. All right? Said that was an armed robbery. If you look at the timeline of events with that alleged armed robbery, how come the transformer or transmitter or transmission is located next door to the Europe place? How? But again, the police, the justice system, our investigative arm, they have not been as effective as should be. Because they got a lot of open-ended investigations. And that's causing the problem. People think that they are hiding something.
Right.
And that
is not new. Mr. Gilman, you were talking about rhetorics. But you were talking about rhetorics. People need to tune down the rhetorics. And you mentioned some of the rhetorics coming from the opposition bloc. What you did not mention was the the one
Yeah.
used by the president at the campaign rally, that they were going to flock Teller Ure, and
that's
that
yeah, that's what I told you, that if I said the most, does that mean that government does not have a fair share of the rhetorics that the UN, our international partners, were alluding to, that need us to be calmed down. All right.
okay.
One thing lead to another.
Right.
One thing lead to another, and apparently we have a leader who entire livelihood or life has been without violence. He doesn't know violence. He doesn't want to pick it up. He doesn't want to respond to it. But as a leader, you can be complacent.
Right.
You know, you can be complacent. And that's what happened. He was responding to the cockroach statement by Bernard Ure. That was just June 7th. And then June 22nd, 2 weeks after, he's at the party headquarters. So, you know, he's agitated.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it before June 7th? In February, when the UN issued that position statement, toned down the rhetoric, what were we hearing? You know, we cannot say that we want to practice democracy. We want everybody to have that freedom of speech, of assembly, of association. And we don't even allow our opponents, our colleagues, the same, you know, freedom that we so want to enjoy.
Yeah.
For instance, now you have me on your show, right?
Right.
Somebody will say, well, why you have Gilman on your show? That man that is government paid agent.
You said that already, Mr. Gilman.
What can you hear from Gilman? Yeah.
But your internet is kind of a little slow there. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Our guest tonight is Mr. Y. Michael Gilman. He's the host of Jihad Talk, based in Detroit, Michigan. Mr. Gilman, I was talking about the violence. So let's look at the violence at the Liberty Party headquarters. Then there was this issue with Justina Taylor, who had earlier come on to say some things that the government was secretly involved in. There was an attack on the car of Mr. Mo Ali, and then the stoning of the car of Ms. Telia Ure.
Right.
One newspaper described it as chaos returning to Monrovia, and we'll go back.
And which newspaper is that?
I think it's,
newspaper is that?
I think that's the pepper something pepper.
Pepper Bird.
So what these are violent activities. What do they tell us? People in Monrovia should be fearful because we are like we came from war, and so there's a lot of fear for war, and people sometimes use these rhetorics to for fear mongering that hey, these things are signs that we're going to be returning to war. What's your take on that, and what's the government role? How well has government played that role to be able to quell these acts of violence?
Let me paraphrase or rephrase the last part of your question. What should government do? It is not what is government role, because I don't speak for the government. So I will tell you what the government should do.
Sure.
First and foremost, let's state here that violence in any form is not good for any group of people, especially so Liberians, a country that suffered 14 years of carnage, innocent lives taken, properties destroyed. To this date, we have not had Liberia return to pre-war status. There's no pipeline water running throughout Monrovia. Electricity is what people are somebody say, jokingly say, you can go and buy electricity, put it in a plastic bag and carry home. You know, it's like non-existent. We look at health the health, the education, all of those things. We have not gotten to where we want to be yet, or have not gotten to pre-war status. We've had 3 successive round of election, democratic elections in our country. The 2005 that brought Ellen Sirleaf, her second term, and these 2017 elections. If you listen to the UN resident coordinator that just left our country, he said his country have not had it in 30 years.
Yeah.
We that just came out of war, we've had these democratic tenets work out, play out in our country with these elections. We got a sitting government that was declared winners in the 2017 election.
Mm-hmm.
Have we, Liberians, first and foremost, have we all accepted the fact that President George Weah is president of the republic and he has a 6-year tenure to complete? Have we accepted that? No. Before the elections, there was a group called Never Weah. After the elections, the group have come back together. Never Weah. He must resign. He must step down. We have not. And these people are all there, have come together to form into an opposition bloc, and they sit among themselves and chat their what is the name? The approach, that their radical approach,
Mm-hmm.
they have packaged all of those things. How are they implementing it? Through the media. That's why I asked you which newspaper reported about the violence. All right?
That was
Through
hot
the
pepper.
media. They are coordinated through the media, such that government information messages are dead on arrival. They die in transit. I hosted the Deputy Minister for Information, Eugene Fagon. He said, look, Gilman, you will invite the press to a press conference. They will all be there. And when they leave, that story dies. Nothing is reported from the press meetings, press briefings. All right? Nothing is reported. Look in the Front Page Africa newspaper. They are religiously carrying stories anti to the $4.6 billion that the government said they are going after. $4.6 billion. Front Page Africa is carrying stories anti to that, trying to prove that government is spilling lies.
Right.
When
Mr. Gilman, will come to the minister interview, and I will even play the clip where the minister alluded to the same fact, the same thing that you were saying now about the media being against them. We want to know even why is that. But before you get there, I want us to because you covered this issue extensively, to give me your analysis. There was we have the by-election, which was won by Mr. Darius Dillon. Is now the senator for Monserrado County.
Right.
Yeah. Give me your impression about that win. Why did he win? The ruling party lost, and because based on that, I don't know, but based on that, it looked like the ruling party is not even feeding a candidate in Grand Cape Mount County. They want to do some self-evaluation. First, give me your assessment of why he won, and let's talk about his first few days in office. What's your impression?
Let me tell you why he won, and his first few days in office, and why the CDC may not, I don't want to say will not, may not field a candidate in Grand Cape Mount County. All right? And we can speak on these things because we don't just follow what happened in our country. We do an extensive research, and that's why I put food on my table. That's my line of work, research, professional development. So that makes me to be a little thorough, because if you are involved with providing training, professional development for people that are doing training for other people, bettering their life, you know, you have to be thorough. You have to be honest. The information have got to be, exact. So if you look at why CDC may not field a candidate in Grand Cape Mount, look at the current roster of Grand Cape Mount lawmakers. Not one is a sedition. Not one time the CDC ever won anything in Grand Cape Mount County. So that's just a given. You shouldn't worry about it. You shouldn't say, oh, because they lose Monserrato to Darius Dillon, that's why they are not fielding a candidate in there. And the records indicated that to me, that there's not a CDC representative or senator from Grand Cape Mount County. They have not won anything there before in the past. So putting one in there now, or fielding one at a time that the country, the party perhaps need to reevaluate herself why she lost in her stronghold. Let's come to that. Dillon won Monserrato on a number of reasons. Paramount among them is seditions not being enthusiastic about the just ended elections. Seditions were not enthusiastic about it. For anyone to suggest that seditions went out and voted for Darius Dillon, it will be disingenuous. All right? Because look at the numbers. In 2014, when George Weah won Monserrato County, he won by 99,000 votes, 78% of the votes. 78% he won. 2017, when the October 10th elections were held, CDC took the first place in Monserrato County with about 185 or more thousand.
Okay.
The came second was Unity Party, and then ANC, Alexander Cummings. Cummings were about 48,000 or 55,000 votes in Monserrato County. Fast forward to the runoff between Unity Party and CDC, George Weah and Wakai. George Weah took Monserrato by storm, 385,000 votes to Wakai, 185,000 votes. Fast forward to these just ended elections. Dillon won by 102,000 votes, or 55% of the vote, compared to the other candidates that were fielded in there. He won by 55%.
Right.
He won because, imagine, ANC maintained her presence in Monserrato. ANC won 55,000, I think 48 to 55,000 in 2017. They've maintained contact with those people.
Right.
The collaborating opposition political parties are full, and they came together to go against the ruling establishment candidate. And if you look at the total numbers, 102,000, is by far less than what all of the opposition got in the presidential elections.
So when you say the seditions were not enthusiastic,
Right.
can you also say they were disenchanted?
You can say that they were disenchanted because look at what's happening after elections.
Yeah.
12 years in opposition, you maintain this group of people. When folks were running to the courts, trying to have a rerun, like what's going to happen in District 15 now, of the entire process, You managed to keep your folks together, playing cards, playing checkers, playing Ludo, playing Namfo, playing Blade, doing eating contests, all of those things. You kept the folks together. And after you told people, don't celebrate Christmas and then get drunk and don't go to vote. Seditions went to the polls December 26 and voted. And 14 counties will side with you in the runoff. Just within Monserrado alone, you got 17 districts, 17 coordinators. It is my understanding that those coordinators, some of them have the least bachelor degree. 17 coordinators. Now one was appointed to an assistant director or assistant minister. They already got their bachelor's degree. If you are not going to appoint them, do something that empowers them.
Okay.
To remain dedicated, committed, to go to reach out. But not one.
Right. And what's about the economy? People were not getting paid, they said. Could that be the reason? People, things were hard. Imagine
the economy,
you don't get paid on 26.
The economy is a major factor.
Okay.
Or was a major factor. But then we go back to the inheritance.
Okay.
He inherited a broke economy in a free fall, no money. But if you manage from $9 million for operations, 150 million in the reserve instead of 500 million being in the reserve, you manage to come up to 12 months, to 14 months, to 16 months, 18 months, and you only owe 2 or 3 months salaries. You know, I think timing caused them the problem also. You cannot begin to pay people on the eve of July 26th, and they're going to be going to the polls the next 2-3 days, and everybody did not get their monies or their pay. If they got it, they don't even know that the money is in their account because they were not expecting it. They didn't hear any signal. So the government have got to be very calculative about people. Right. The economy is bad.
It's bad. Okay, Mr. Gilman,
yeah.
I want to bring in our callers very soon. So I want also go to your interview with Mr. Eugene Fagon, the Deputy Minister of Information.
Right.
You talked to him extensively. Maybe what was your general impression? Because Mr. Fagon is on the social media most of the time with his shows, and he gets a lot of bad rap from the opposition bloc. And so you have the opportunity to talk to him. What was your impression?
He gets bad rap from the opposition bloc because, in my own understanding, he speaks their language and go beyond. All right? Yeah, he speaks their language and go beyond because the opposition catalog and brand seditions in the way, fashions they do. Tiny, thieves, ignorance, sycophants, bootlicker, all of that. All right? Come back to another thing that he Fagon got in trouble for. Now the opposition, because George Weah is a crewman from Grand Crew from the Southeast, everybody within the Southeast or come from the Southeast, perhaps you've had one of those comments before. They brand us as Southeastern government. All right? It's like a line has been drawn between and among Liberians. You are on that side, we are on this side. So Fagon comes in, firebrand, playing to their own games, to their own whims and caprices, and apparently he gets them. He gets them where he wants them, and they don't like it because he keeps putting them in our box and showing the light on their activities. And but overall, Minister Fagon have come on GST, I think over 5 times. And he has committed to be back there when he gets back home, to come on a weekly basis. We are working on that. Since he left the show, I have not talked to him one-on-one. I'm hoping we're going to do that pretty soon. So he has opted to come on our platform on a weekly basis. And
but Mr. Gilman, give me the secret. What are you doing that we're not able to do? We've tried to get him, and he doesn't even respond.
What we've done is we don't ask for money to bring anybody on the show.
Right. We don't
you didn't ask me for any money. You didn't ask me for any money, so let me put that out there. And I don't think you were asking for money. We don't ask for money to bring anybody on the show. We hold a conversation that is civil, obedient, respectful of regardless who is appearing on the show. We are very civil. We are honest. We pose the tough questions, but we are honest. We don't expect to push our hands down your throat, say you got to say this before you leave from here. No, the answer you provide, we go around it to ask another question to see whether we'll get what we want. But we're not going to force it out of you to say, why don't you say it this way? No, you know. And if we understand that the government is for everybody, that the media can reach out to government, and of course, when you if you had a newspaper with this interview being conducted with me, I would expect you probably would take an excerpt from this interview and say, "Oh, this is what Gilman said."
Right.
But we get the folks that go to these news conferences by government officials. They don't publish the stories.
Okay. Let me play excerpt from that interview because Mr. Fagon said similar thing that you're saying now. So let me go to Mr. Fagon so we'll hear from him.
Right.
They go on social media. They talk about the president building 47 houses, but they never show you a video of the houses. They show you pictures from Nigeria of all kinds of things. They tell you the president bought a $12,000 shoes, as if the president is some kid when 26th day coming, you go buy your shoes to bluff. All of these misinformations and the dissemination of falsehood plays on the minds, especially of some of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who do not take their time to put facts against fiction. And at the end of the day, they accept it as true and they act upon it. The same with people back home. So every day, people are angered. I started off by saying that the president took over and said to you that he inherited a broke government and a bad economy. So how is it that no one knows that he said that from day one? But what is appalling is for someone to get on the radio and say that the very president who said that the government was broke stole $16 billion and is in a container behind his house. When you wake up in the morning, a bad economy, you hear the president have built 49 houses. You wake up in the morning, you heard that the president, the finance minister, and the bank governor stole $25 million that was meant for MOPA. These informations, when they are out there, they anger people who tend to believe it. And maybe your next question will be, what is the government information dissemination arm doing to counter it?
How you know so?
Again, well, I've been around for a while, so I know. It's difficult. It's difficult to fight the guys with the money, especially when you have 35 commercial radio stations, ERBC being one. And you would think, some people would think that it's a government station. No, it's for everybody. So the propaganda war against us is 34-1. Agreed. So 34 against 1. Let's go to the community radio stations in Grand Jihad, Nima, all around the place. We have about 80 community radio stations. But the 5 substations we have for ERBC barely come on because they lack fuel and spare parts. So it's 80 community radio stations to what? To zero.
To zero.
To zero. That's what we're up against.
Mr. Gilman.
Yeah.
What the minister was complaining of is we are outmatched by the radio station. Nobody is carrying our story.
Nobody's carrying the stories.
We have one radio station. It doesn't even have fuel, and the only way people can talk our good name is if we own and control that media.
Right.
Even here in America, the White House doesn't control any media, but the reporting is there, and it should be.
Right.
Why
And,
is the minister whining about that?
You know also why the White House does not control any media house or houses here in the States. Billions are spent for elections, and after that, millions more are spent to have the Democrats, the Republicans, the Independents to go on this network to carry their stories, to put up ads for their causes. You know, government have got to understand that EFBC, the government arm, is not enough, and that's some of the things why I kind of quarrel them sometimes. You know, say why you don't even use the other platforms if they're not going to carry your stories, your information. Pay for it like an ad on their radios. If they come and say, oh, the government is not paying, and they try to write and play an ad say, all the government workers, their salaries are being released. They say, but the radio station can lie. And the same radio station says government not paying, but then how can they talking about government salaries? Pay for ad in their papers, on their radio network, and see whether the information will change. You know? But the bottom line here, Mr. John, is that people got to be honest with themselves. I opened up here by stating the historicity of Jihad Talk, who founded the organization, the network. I named Boo Yonley, Isaac Boo Yonley from Florida. I named Kwame Weeks, now managing director or director general for Liberia News Agency, and myself. Nowhere have I indicated that Kwame is not my blood. That's my uncle. But there is a line between our professional works. And I'm responding to comments I've been reading here, especially from Baton Kula, that I'm telling lies, and Kwame Weeks is my family, is my brother, and he at Lena, you know. Besides my network where Baton Kula comes, is probably the 100th or the 1,000th time I'm saying this again. I cannot disown my family because they are in the government or they were in some previous government or they have position. I cannot. He's my family. But I don't take stories from him. He does not feed me with information. Go and read the Liberia News Agency, their stories, and come to Jihad Talk and look at our outline for discussions. They don't rhyme. They don't go together. That's why when we reported about Kwame Clement not being happy with ANC, Alexander Cummings, people were like, where did you get it from? When we reported that Darius Dillon said, George, we are lift people hands up and make them leaders, and here under people want to make them carry their bags until they die. People from Liberia were asking me where you got it from until I published the video from his own talk show. People don't listen, Dennis, that's the thing. Our folks, if people would just listen to what people say around them, they will not only follow, but they would have asked some questions. They would have known what they are really talking about. I posted a story that we're doing a countdown to Dillon declaration, asset declaration. not being published. Darius Dillon, when he took over, when he was inducted, if you go back on that video, you will hear him say, it is not legal. It is not the law not to publish. It is not in the law to publish your asset. He said, but for the sake of transparency. All right? That post, people are there cussing me. Why am I keeping a countdown? But go to the video and listen to Dillon. It is not the law to publish your asset when you declare. He said, I will, yes, my asset, give it to the Secretary of the Senate. I will tell my office staff to liaise with you so you can publish it on Monday. That will be tomorrow.
So, Mr. Gilman, you believe that in order for the government or for a fair reporting to be done, the government actually should own or control certain media institutions?
They don't have to own or control. They already got EFBC, they got LENA, they got the Ministry of Information.
Right.
They got community radios.
The minister is crying about that people are not giving them fair even though we invited him and he has not responded. Maybe focus on Liberia will help him. But let me go to one more of that exchange,
right,
where the minister talked about certain people in the media. Let's play that.
Right.
That this government inherited a broke economy. It was in a free fall. Corruption in the early government was massive. And now we got $4.6 billion that was uncovered by this government to go after. Don't you think an advocate for social justice against corruption at least would have said something by now about this 4.6? What I even asked you, how honest, how truthful is this 4.6? To erase any doubt I even had that money will come in that magnitude, $4.6 billion. And then it will just flee, siphon out of the economy. Why are they not talking about it?
Because there's a difference between a real advocate and a criminal.
Okay.
There is a very sharp difference between the two.
You know who he's talking about
The
already.
criminal,
Right.
stealing. The advocate is speaking on behalf of someone to get something that will either benefit the person or the greater society. Clearly, you saw what happened with the Council of Patriots. Clearly, you've listened to some tapes where Costa confesses to receiving money for the late Harry Green's death. Costa is on record for creating lies. They vandalized my radio station, Roots FM. He gets money from GoFundMe, only to find out that it was his transmitters way on the other street at Lone Star Tower. So there's a difference between the two. And Costa should be seen for what he is. He is not an advocate. He is not a journalist. You know that. He is a political commentator if you want to address him appropriately or inappropriately, giving him flowers or whatever. It will be the most you can do is refer to him as a political commentator because he comments on political issues. He's not a journalist. He's not a press man by any stretch of an imagination. He is a con artist.
Well, folks,
Mr. Gilman.
Yeah.
Costa is a firebrand. I mean, you can't discuss Liberian politics without mentioning the name Henry Pedro Costa.
And that's the thing some folks don't get. And they come, when we mention Costa's name, they say, oh, you can't leave the man name. Costa came on my show on February 14th. And he said, Mr. Gilman, I came to answer to your obsession about me. Why are you so obsessed about me? I said, no, I'm not obsessed about you. I'm obsessed about what you say, what the things you put out there that are not factual, that are manufactured. So we went back and forth. We said, okay, I understand. All right. The things that he puts out there. Take for instance, on August 17 at 2:22 p.m. from the comfort of his home, he said, Tilia Ure is under attack and her car is completely destroyed. 2:22 p.m. The car is completely destroyed. And it's parked. If you listen to the video, the entire video, the car is completely destroyed and is parked at Lawrence, Ada Lawrence former office. 2:26, Tilia Ure is on a live feed announcing that she's under attack. She's in a house. Look at the time. That's how meticulous I am. I look at events, the time that these things happen. The next day, Tilia Ure said the car is burnt. But if you look at the time Henry Costa did the 2:22 video to when the car went and fell in that ditch and hit that house, that zinc shack, it's 3:01. If you look at the video, it's 3:01. 2:22 to 3:01, less than 30 minutes. So the car was not destroyed completely. It was not parked because we saw two other videos where the car is providing cover. All right. So
and the minister called him a con artist.
Yes, because look, let me show your folks this book. Can you read it?
Yeah. C.G. Cooper, Council of Patriots.
Council of Patriots. Council of Patriots. That's the book the young man exported to our country. The teachings, the doctrines in this book, the radical approaches. People got to analyze when we hear people speaking. Demand, take back our country.
Okay.
Power the pressure. We got to power the pressure. We can't stop now. We can't let up. We got to demand. We got to power pressure. We got to take back our country. Lead us eat last. These are thieves and cockroaches. Radical
Gilman,
approach. Yeah.
Let me give chance to our callers. Callers, if you want to join the conversation, dial 978-726-6965. We have a call on the line. Call out your name and where you calling from.
My name is Dr. Kula, calling from Atlanta, Georgia. Can you hear?
Say that again.
Dr. Kula, calling from Atlanta, Georgia. Can you hear me clearly?
Right. Mr. Gilman, can you hear the caller?
Yeah, loud and clear. Kula, right?
All right. Go ahead, Dr. Kula. Your question or comment, 1 minute.
Yes. I have a comment and then I'll ask a question. And I'm glad Mr. Gilman is on the show speaking intelligent and live on his show. He's turned his show into a bully pulpit, so to speak, where now he insults people who are critical of the government. I called him a propagandist because he pushes conspiracy theory on everything that happens in the country. He said that the folks in Liberia, the COP, were trying to kill. They could call him by and blame the government. He said he's pushing his own.
Dr. Kula, you are breaking up.
Get somewhere where you can hear me better. Can you hear better now?
It's kind of still breaking up, but I hear you saying so let me take the next caller. Why you
Let
maybe?
me. I think I got a little bit for him. Or you want me to respond to him?
Just hold on. Let's get another caller. Call out your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Momo Saki. I come from Minnesota.
Momo, your question or comment? 1 minute.
I have a comment. First, I want to say thank you for the show. I want to say thanks to Mr. Gilman. The issues about about the government information. I believe most of the lies is coming from the government. There are some media want to help the government. Like, for
for example, Freedom FM, I listen to Freedom FM more often, they propagate the government messages. But one of the problems that the government is fixing, there are folks that are in the government, they are not in the interest of the government. They are in the interest of supporting the opposition. In a sense, like for example, when you have a media, you want to support the government, but to even get information from the government is difficult.
Thank you.
That's one of the problems they are fixing.
All right.
Like there are some media up that want to help the government, but the government don't even make business with that media that are propagating their messages. They prefer going to the people who talk against them. So end of the day, most people now will say, "Well, let's go on and attacking folks,
Right.
and maybe we'll get something." That's what happened in the country.
Thank you, sir. Let me take another call up quickly before Mr. Gilman responds. Hello? Hello, caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Dennis. How you doing, man? This is Nelson Gagan calling from Philadelphia.
Nelson, your question or comment?
Yes, I just want to make a comment, sir. I just want to say thank you to you for your good work. I think if we had more than 5 of the kind of a platform, like your platform and Mr. Gilman platform, I think Liberia will move forward very quickly as possible. I just want to commend you for a good talk show and talking about our Liberia, our own country positively. Okay. And I just want to commend Mr. Gilman for his analysis. I think Mr. Gilman has been doing so well for our community, our Liberian community. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you, Mr. Gilman, for your good explanation. You have spoken well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let me have Mr. Kula now, then we can let you respond. Dr. Kula, please continue.
Can you hear me clear now, Mr. John?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, I would say it's good to have him on a platform, social platform, where he can answer the questions without the spin and attack. He's had to have it where he's made his platform very pointless for me, thinking that would drive me away, where he's calling me names, calling me former doctor, saying I'm on food stamps, saying I'm crazy, saying all kinds of things he's been saying. And now his people on his platform have picked that up. The same thing that the government did, the president calling people's enemies of the state and all kinds of names, and Fagon coming out with the country Congo divide and the us versus them. They created this atmosphere, and now they want to come back and say, first he threatened the Liberian people, say nobody should cause the president or they'll disappear. Then he comes back, now they want to talk about, the presidency should not be insulted, and so on and so forth. Okay. They create these environments, unforced errors, and then they blame people for it. And I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt that Gilman is one of the propagandists that's working to push the government's agenda. Whether he wants to admit it or not, that's his problem. But I want him to answer the hard questions. One,
sure.
The issue is the economy. The economy is bad. The people are suffering. The people are not getting paid. Talk to the government about that. How can they improve the economy? Talk to the government about the $25 million that somehow disappeared and there's no accountability. They said they used 17 and they got 8 left. The way they put it in the economy is not the way you do it. Talk about that instead of trying to get the government to clamp down on free speech, to clamp down on protests, to clamp down on Liberians that are protesting in America and whatnot.
Thank you.
What this guy is pushing is poison for our country. They did it to Dole, they fought Dole and led Dole straight, and I think that's what he's doing to the current president,
Thank you, Dr. Kula.
Ask him the hard questions, let him answer those questions. Don't let him get away with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kula. All right. Mr. Gilman, let's start with Dr. Kula, because I heard that too, that there were certain Liberians that went to protest at the U.S. Embassy, and what you said is those who went to protest, not U.S. Embassy, Nancy Pelosi office. He said those who went to protest, they should be denied visa, even though they were born in Liberia, but they should be denied visa to go back to Liberia. So Dr. Kula is saying you want free speech, but you want them to clamp down on protesters. Then you can go back to the rest of the colors.
Yeah, that's a good question there from Kula, and I did not bite nor means, I did not bite my tongue, nor mince my words on that. All right? Let me paraphrase. I may likely get them word for word, but these are the statements, or this is the statement that was made in the parlors of the Speaker of the United States Congress, Nancy Pelosi's office. And I'm paraphrasing, and perhaps they'll be the exact words. We are Americans. We are immigrants. We are American taxpayers. We don't want American tax dollars to be sent to that country. We don't want American tax dollars to be sent to that country. Imagine you get a government that is not taking care of her people, and you keep sending things there, and those things not benefiting the people. Don't send anything there. Liberians telling our most donor, do not send any aid to that country. And they said, what did they say? We are Americans. We are immigrants. Yes, the fact remains they were born in Liberia, but they've taken on citizenship in this country. All right? They've taken on citizenship in this country. They will need visas to go to Liberia. And we are saying, if you can ask our donor country, our godfather, to impose sanctions on Liberia, don't send aid to Liberia. The Liberian government, the embassy in Washington, D.C., should not give you visas to go to Liberia. You go in there to do what? To have fun with the suffering people? You go in there to do what? Ask yourself. You already said you are Americans. You are immigrants. You didn't say we are Liberians. You said we are Americans. So
Okay.
those Liberians, those advocates who have taken on other nationalities, citizenship, and want sanctions against Liberia, we said it, plain and simple. The government should not allow them.
Is that punishment for protesting?
That is not protesting.
Okay.
Protesting is different from calling on when there's a G7 summit going on.
Right.
When these people meet and say they're going to impose sanctions on Russia, on Iran, is that a protest? You think Donald Trump go to G7 to go protest? No, that's not a protest.
Let's go to the other callers who asked if you jotted down some points.
Yeah, Momo and Nelson Gaga, I'd like to thank you for your concerns, your comments here. They're very pointed. Our country. Look, when Ellen Sirleaf left power, there are two things she said she did not realize. She did not fight corruption as she promised, and she did not reconcile the country. And that reconciliation that didn't happen is perhaps the reasons, or one of the reasons, we see ourselves so divided. We are so divided along. I think perhaps when Samuel Doe was president, the travel lines is so glaring now. The travel line with Congo and tribal and tribe people, it's like it's glaring. It's creeping up. All right, because you got, now they are saying Southeasterner, so they want to make sure everybody from the Southeast are bunched up together because George we are from the Southeast, and that should not be our business. That should not be how we grow our democracy, our country. We all share, yes, the economy is bad, people are suffering, but what do we do?
Yeah.
To lift the economy? When we get one investors coming in, Before the investor will reach Monrovia, people are protesting.
Right. Protests will always be there.
President Weah is on his way to Japan for a summit that other African leaders are also going to right now. You know what somebody wrote? They pray that the plane crashes and he doesn't return.
God forbid. Mr. Gilman, there's another caller on the line. Let me take this caller as we wind down. We have, we'll soon be ending the broadcast. So caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Mark. Last in delay, I'm calling from New Jersey.
Mark, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Okay, thank you very much for allowing me the time. I want to respond to Dr. Kula. He said the country is very high right now when it comes to economic. Well, the doctor was here 2005 to 2011. We have 1 million in Liberia. From 2011 to 2017, we have 1 million. We have the UN troop in Liberia. When they troop in Liberia, it's not a fiction. It was fact. They have almost like 45% of our economic boost because those troops were paid in US dollars. And when those troops were in Liberia, they have NGO that were assigned with this troop, almost like 50 to 60 NGO in a country that employ Liberians.
Yeah.
And those UNMIL have girlfriend or Liberians, and those girlfriends are supporting their family through the UNMIL helps.
Therefore, what's the point?
Therefore, now, when 2007 came, when the elected president was taking over after he took over office, the whole team left the country. So it like you were employed. You had two jobs, and one giving 1,005, one giving 2,005. Then on a certain, the one that giving 1,005, you just lost it. All your play you've been doing for the past 6-7 months without 1,005, you cannot just cover up.
Okay.
Yes. So when the doctor come on these kind of programs, we expect them to come and give knowledge to people who will not understand. They should not just come. And say, "Oh, the country is high." The country, but they should first know that the country high now because no money coming to the country. The youth are coming to the country during this time. They're not coming anymore. All
right. Let me take one more call out before we end it. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
All right. Caller, you'll be our last caller. Your question or comment?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Cyrus McGee. I call you from Minnesota.
Cyrus, your question or comment?
Yes. I'd like to say thanks for the show and thanks to Mr. Gilman for the clear and as always precise discussion. And like Mr. Gilman put it, from the media standpoint and government, I like to look at where the government has been struggling as it relates to its information dissemination because you have a strong media war against the government. You have opposition who are bent on making sure that nothing good that will come up for the public to understand, no matter what happens. And so this is a very, very strong war. Like I told Mr. Gilman the other day, until the government can redefine its media strategies, you always have this going on. And the issue of, quickly before I go, the issue raised by Dr. Kula as it relates to the Liberians who Mr. Gilman talked about, you cannot do that to your country. These people, some of them even understand that physical cash doesn't come from the U.S. government into the Liberian system. It goes through projects. You know, if you now tell the people, do not spend your money on our country, then how in the world you want to go to this country tomorrow and enjoy the freedom and liberty of this country? Then you don't deserve that. Well, thanks so much, and we hope that we can continue to have platforms like yours, Mr. Gilman, and others who will have the real thing coming up for Liberians to know what it is, and not just the other side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right. My last caller, Emmanuel Zaza.
Yep.
Your question or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Okay. Briefly.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me on your show. What I want to say is, for me, if I have the chance to support what Mr. Gilman said, I will support it. If the people would choose to sanction Liberia, if they will not go petition the international community to help Liberia, remember, if Liberia suffers, the government will not suffer. The government will not suffer because whatever goes in that country, the government will enjoy it. It is the citizen that will suffer. So if you don't petition the international community to say, you know what, don't send money directly to the government, but at least set programs that will help the people on ground. But you say they must sanction the country, they must stop sending money to the country, then there's no need for you to go to that country. People come here and say they are doctors and they don't understand that kind of thing. They're speaking out of it. There's a document that we don't have time. I will share with you. In the 80s, from PBS had a documentary. In the 80s, the Liberian came to America and apologized to America for America to do everything that happened in Liberia from the 90s. The petition Ronald Reagan's government to sanction Liberia, to stop supporting DO, to even allow rebels to enter Liberia. It's a written document. These are facts.
Okay. You share with us.
I share with Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman has it.
Okay, please wind down, then we can.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, if you would say the people should sanction the country, they should. You not even petition for the people that are dead. There's no need for you to go there. You should stay here because you transported trouble in our country. The same thing you did in the 80s. So I support that. Anybody who want Liberia to be sanctioned, they shouldn't go to Liberia. They don't have Liberia at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gilman.
Yeah, Mr. John.
People supporting you. People say they shouldn't go. I disagree.
Yeah, that makes it a fruitful discussion. You're gonna state your disagreement, and we're gonna continue. You know, diversity is the beauty and the essence of life. If we can hold these conversations as we are doing, we're not cussing, man cuss, no power cuss. I'm not frowning at you. I'm smiling. I'm reading some comments here. And, you know, if we can do these things, we would have moved the needle. All right? Like I always told people on my platform, nobody wins a cussing match. Our young special needs kids did not go to UAE. They did not go to the UAE or Dubai and won those gold medals because they were able to cuss. Our kids just came to Minnesota. Our under 15 girls soccer team, and they went back home with a trophy. They did not cuss, nobody. All right, George Weah, Ballon d'Or, he didn't cuss anybody. All of us here, our workplaces, when we go there to apply for jobs, and we go present ourselves nice, prim, and proper. We didn't cost our bosses to award our jobs or give us jobs. We did not. So why should we cost one another because we want to see Liberia prosper? Why? Why should we cost one another? I listened to Mike DeLay, Cyrus McGee, and Emmanuel Zaza. And, you know, I talk to these guys. I would say on a regular basis, they come on the show. We got phone numbers. You know, all of them, even the Kula. Kula got my phone number. Kula has been on my show several times. All right? Why do we breed conflict among us? Why?
Let me squeeze in one last issue before we close the broadcast. That will be the proposed amendment from the president.
Right.
That is, this election thing get too much money going into it. Let's find a way that it can be done through appointment. I think something through the city or county, things like that.
I know where you're going with that question, and let me just fill it in quick. You know, when the president spoke from his chapel or that church one time, he said, I will not write the best of speeches. I will not be the best orator. He said, but I will make the best decision for the country. Let's look around us here in the States, and maybe other folks in their own locale. How are these positions, elected positions, how are they filled? I'll bring us to one that was so popular, Illinois, the Barack Obama Senate seat. When Barack Obama was elected president, Rod Blagojevich was the governor for Illinois, and he had to fill that seat.
Right.
What happened?
Right.
People are appointed to
right.
fill these vacancies in such manner, in such instances. It saves money.
Okay.
Not only does it save money, but it is the expedient thing to do. All right? If you had a Democratic, a CDC senator that died for Monserrato County, let CDC appoint the replacement, finish up the term, or until the next round of elections. But these, yeah.
No, I see where you're going. I mean, you agree with what the president said, and you think there's a precedent right here in the U.S.
People, you know, more and
let
more
me,
education. People,
let me,
people have got
yeah.
to be educated
So
about it.
I see where you're going. I too, I researched, I saw on the internet, I mean, from very long time, they do that in the state pending the actual election. Let me get one more caller, and there is a, there's,
and you think there's a precedent right here in the U.S.
Maria, please be 30 seconds.
I see where you're going. I back to a research. I saw.
Caller, please lower your TV or your computer, and 30 seconds for your question or comment. We don't want to go beyond.
I say thank you, sir, for having me on. If these people will be here and causing trouble, let it stay here.
Okay.
Let it stay here.
All right.
If you will be here and causing trouble and divisive and war to go in our country, let it stay here.
Thank you, Maria.
You can't be causing trouble for us, and you won't go rule the same people, you won't suffer them. Stay here, that your home here, stay here.
Okay.
And leave the poor people, let the people rest themselves and leave your way alone. When you time finish, go to the ballot pass. Stop confusing the people. Enough. We can't be eating in joy and the people suffering. All day they got the children chunky.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. Let me take my very last caller because he told me he was calling. So let me take him before we close the broadcast.
Okay.
Hello, caller. Your name and where you calling from? That's Mr. George Lobo.
Yeah, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. George, you are calling so late at the time we are closing the broadcast, but you spoke with me before the show, so I will give you 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much for the pleasure. To Mr. Gilman, thank you very much for being on. I want to be very brief and straight to the point. I got 2 questions here for Mr. Gilman. One, I expect this show to be nothing but one full with professionalism. Mr. Gilman have said to us that he's a professional, which I appreciate greatly. So professionalism comes with integrity, character, all those other attributes. Integrity has to do with being truthful and being honest. That's why integrity, when you talk integrity, you talk about being truthful. I want Mr. Gilman to please help us understand. First, I want him to tell the Liberian people if his show have been based, the Jihad topic, have been based on facts or lies, or propaganda intended to make the government look good. That's one. My second question to Mr. Gilman here will be, Mr. Gilman alluded on his show multiple times about the accomplishment of this government, which he did here again today, with regards to infrastructure and roads. I always hear him talk about roads. I want Mr. Gilman to please tell the Liberian people today, President Weah was inaugurated January 22nd, 2018. So can he name any just 10 miles road outside of Monrovia that the CDC-led government identified, secure funding for, whether provided it through their budget or went and sought loan, then they have awarded the contract to any company? I want him to tell us those 2 companies because we talk about roads. That's my last question. Yes, my last question to him. Let me just give him my last one. It has to do with Mr. Gilman propagating when I talk about integrity. Minister Fagon was on Jihad topic on Monday. Minister Eugene Fagon said the governor was tracing $4.6 billion. And on the show, he told Mr. Gilman that the CDC government have already retrieved $30 million
and that Echo Bank was already in negotiation to pay 5 to 6 million. So we should make it 35 or 36 million. But Mr. Fagon also told us that the government don't know where the money came from. The government cannot source the money. So my question to Mr. Gilman as a professional, the government told us they cannot source the money. They have no knowledge where the money came from. How is it possible to tell us now that they've already retrieved 30 million?
Okay.
And Mr. Gilman continues to propagate those messages. Is he intending to mislead our people, or what is it he's trying to get out of this? I want you to address those questions for us.
Thank you, Mr. Lobo.
Thank you, Mr. Lobo, George Lobo, and Mr. Jihad. Thank you. First, let me begin with the last question on the issue of monies, and that he's talking about, that the minister said on there. You know, that's why I emphasize that when you go to these conversations, you should listen and listen well. You would have taken something away. All right. The minister said that, and I'm paraphrasing, the minister said, based on the disclosure about the 4.6 billion that is being recovered by Grant Thornton, some persons of interest have already begun talking with government to make a restitution of 30 to 35 million. They have begun to talk with government, and those people, the total amount that is supposed to be paying back is between 30 to 35 million. He did not say government already got the money. He said Echo Bank, who is the guarantor or something that has to do with the executive mansion, that had about $4 to $5 million, they did not want to pay it back. They have agreed to pay it back. All right? He did not say government already got the money. So, Mr. Lobo, listen well next time. You talk about Jihad talk, spewing lies and all of that, and propaganda for government. Next time, I will ask you to come out and say, Mr. Gilman, you and your network said Tila Yure said her car burned, and you said no, the car did not burn. This is the car picture. All right? Tila Yure said her car got burnt after they burnt my car. And you can't show me any picture of any burnt car. Henry Costa said the car is completely destroyed and it is parked at Adolf Lawrence's office. 2:22, he made a statement. By 3:01, the car is seen driving and parked. The time between there, when the car is providing cover and all of that, you did not account for it. But the car is completely destroyed and it is parked. All right? If that is a lie, that we said, then you must ask Tilia Yure, you must ask yourself, is Tilia telling us the truth that her car got burned? That's who you need to be asking about truth and honesty. Henry Costa and others, and yourself. All right? You talk about roads. I should point to a 10-mile road, whether government source money for that, or where is it at? Ganta to Yekepa. All right? A project that was started by the Salif government, and they could not provide the government portion of the money. This government just provided, I think last year or early this year, her side of the money, I think over 10 or $15 million. And I know so because I got a friend who works in Yekepa, between Yekepa and San Quile, K. Kenneth Roberts. Look for him on Facebook. He every time he calls me, he listens to the show. From Ganta to San Quile, in more than 10 miles, Lobo. So that's just enough. We have to accept the fact that we have a president that was elected by the people. He has a 6-year span of time. Give him his space. We can all be critical and analytical, but we must all strive to be honest, to be truthful, because advocacy is honesty. Advocacy is consistency. Advocacy is leadership. If we do not possess any of these three characteristics of advocacy, ours is fraudulent. Then we'll engage in radical approaches, and we will brand ourselves Council of Patriots after a book that we read and exported to our country. So again, Lobo, tell your friends, say Gilman said we got to be honest. All right?
Mr. Gilman, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. Just in 30 seconds, give me your final thoughts as we get prepared to close the broadcast.
Thank you very much. Zolizo, shout out to you on your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And to all of you that called in here, that participated, that trained here tonight, my heart goes out to you for your support, for coming on here. Our top fans from Jihad Talk, our followers from GHD, all Liberians. There's a need we come together. If we can hold these conversations and we don't throw in blows and fighting one another, and we find out where the problems are, we can make our country better. Thank you, Mr. Jihad, to you and your team there, Mrs. Danielle Knuckles-guishard, and your guest relations manager, Stephanie Cetro. My heart goes out to you. Thanks for bringing me on your platform here. I feel very honored and privileged to have come here and contribute to our Liberia's discourse and finding means and solutions to the problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman, and we also thank you for joining us. Next week, or Sunday, we've just turned 2 years old, terrific too. So we're going to devote our Sunday broadcast to our anniversary programming. Join us. All the team members going to be here to tell you how we got started and really where we want to go with this vision and what we need from you to support us. So join us next week, Sunday, for that broadcast. We want to thank all those that log in, all those who call on Facebook and also call the phone. Because of you, we are here. Continue to support us, continue to share our video, continue to go on YouTube and like us, and subscribe to our video. You know, maybe when we got small numbers, then YouTube will give us something so we can pay the bills. Until then, we want to say again, thank you so much. This is Focus on Liberia on behalf of my co-host, Danielle knuckles-guishard, and my guest relations manager, Stephanie Cetro. We want to say thank you so much. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night.
Thank you.